Most fat loss advice makes this sound more complicated than it is. The core idea is simple: body fat is stored energy. To lose it, your body has to use more energy than you eat over time. Every useful strategy still comes back to that rule. That image on screen tells the real story. Body fat is stored fuel built up over time. You are not fighting one meal or one ingredient. You are changing the energy balance that created those stores. That is why consistency matters more than gimmicks. The rule is simple, but living it is not. Hunger rises, habits push back, and most people try to lose fat too fast. That is where good plans usually start to fall apart, even when the science behind them is fine. In the next few minutes, I will show you what actually matters: calorie deficit, food quality, hunger, movement, and the version of fat loss you can still follow during a stressful week. That is the version that actually lasts. Layer 1 is the calorie deficit. When output beats intake, your body makes up the gap partly from stored fat. No gap, no fat loss. Low carb, low fat, fasting, and portion control are different methods, but they all depend on the same gate. If the plan never opens that gate, the scale story stays flat. Read the comparison like a meter. Intake above output pushes stored energy up. Output above intake forces the body to spend stores. Every diet that has ever worked for fat loss created that second column long enough to matter, not for one perfect day, but for enough weeks. The headline is the punchline: every successful diet works through the same mechanism. If someone sells you a method that never creates a deficit, you are not doing fat loss. You are just buying a rebrand. You do not need a crash diet. Extreme deficits spike hunger, drain energy, and destroy consistency. A smaller deficit with a longer runway is usually what people can actually maintain. Layer 2: protein and food quality. The deficit is still the gate, but what you eat decides how brutal the gate feels. Protein helps protect muscle. Whole foods usually raise satiety. Ultra-processed food makes the same calorie number feel smaller in your stomach while hiding extra calories in palatability. Use the split as a weekly audit. Low-satiety foods let calories slide in fast. High-satiety meals buy you quieter hours. The same calorie target on paper can feel impossible or manageable, and food setup often decides which. The frame says it clearly: protein helps protect lean mass while you run a deficit. Food quality changes how loud hunger gets. Ignore both, and you can still lose weight, but the process usually feels worse and rebounds harder. The rule closes the loop: make the deficit easier to repeat, not harder to survive. The best fat loss plan is not just lowering calories. It is the one you can still run on a normal Wednesday. Layer 3 is hunger. Pay attention here, because this is where most plans die. Your body does not enjoy draining stored energy. Hunger rises, food noise rises, and energy drops. People think that means the diet is wrong. Often it just means the cut is too aggressive. The list on screen is what crash dieting buys you: more hunger, less energy, more food obsession, and less consistency. That is also why fast fat loss often snaps back. Your brain and hormones push back harder than your spreadsheet expects. The card names the trap: fast progress, slow collapse. You see a drop on the scale, then life happens, then the rebound. Better plans trade speed for weeks you can actually repeat. The rule is the takeaway: the best plan is the one you can repeat when work gets chaotic, not the one that looks perfect on day one. Fat loss works when the system is hard enough to matter and realistic enough to survive. Layer 4: movement. Before you buy another gadget, hear this: exercise helps, but weekly steps and non-exercise activity often move the needle more than people admit. Strength training matters because it helps keep muscle while fat drops. Memorize the right column before you argue with the internet. Walking, steps, cardio, and lifting all help. None of them replace food control, consistency, recovery, or the deficit itself. You cannot outtrain a chronic surplus. A hard session can burn calories, but a loose weekend can erase that faster than most people expect. The split image shows the practical split: lift to keep muscle, walk to raise output. Cardio is useful, but it is not permission to ignore what you put on the plate all week. The rule is simple: use movement to support the deficit, not to excuse chaotic eating. When people say they train hard but cannot lose fat, the kitchen is usually overriding the gym. The answer is usually not more punishment cardio. It is tighter food control, better recovery, and a plan you can repeat next week too. This is the order that holds up: moderate deficit, enough protein, whole foods, more movement, and then patience. Simple beats intense when life gets loud. The goal is not to impress yourself for 5 days. The goal is to keep going. If a plan only works when your week is perfect, it is not a real fat loss plan yet. The win is not a perfect week. The win is a repeatable system that still works when stress hits and motivation drops. That is what separates short-term weight loss from lasting fat loss. Bad weeks will happen. The system still wins if you can keep protein up, keep portions honest, and get right back on track instead of disappearing for 2 weeks. Next comes muscle growth, because keeping muscle is what makes fat loss look better, perform better, and last longer. Losing weight is easy to say. Improving body composition is the real game.